thought maybe it's spam or scam or something.
Good morning. Today is Monday, November 17th, 2025. It's 10 a.m. and I call this meeting of the Platte County Commission to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Berberick is out with a planned absence today. Commissioner Vanover and I will carry on. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
I second. Clerk, please call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
The motion carries 2-0. Next is business action items, and the first is 2025 CO 153 to be presented by Captain Shanks. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. On 2025 CO 153, we're asking the County Commission to approve our agreement between Platte County, Missouri and the Missouri Department of Public Safety for the purpose of the subaward agreement and articles of agreement for the Missouri Blue Shield Grant Program. We previously put a resolution before the commissioners to put in our application. Our application was accepted. We have been approved for the $50,000 reimbursement grant to move forward on this. And now it's down to the point where we need that subaward signed for the contract 2026 MBSGP-14. And again, it has a $50,000 budget impact. We have that planned into the budget. And it is a reimbursement grant. So as we move forward, this will also be, to remind the commissioners, this will help us. This is the software and the programming to help enhance our flock cameras that'll increase security for the citizens of Platte County and better aid us in doing what we do best.
I move approval of 2025-CO-153 and agreement and articles of agreement regarding the Missouri Blue Shield Grant Program.
I second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Next on the agenda, 2025 CO 155, be presented by former Sheriff's Office Tony Avery.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tony Avery, Radio System Manager, Sheriff's Office. What you have before you, 2025 CO 155, is an agreement between Platte County and the Mid-America Regional Council. This agreement, or MOU, is for the purposes of hiring a radio system consultant. In the future, you're all aware of all of the significant upgrades that are going to be coming down the pipe. And all of the radio system owners went together and decided about a month ago to seek out a radio system consultant to try to secure the region the best prices possible with all of the forthcoming upgrades on the radio system. The total budgetary impact for Platte County is $5,021.74. This money is already covered in the 2025 budget, and that's a one-time purchase. That's a one-time cost that we would incur. It's based on the number of dispatch consoles that we have. Good questions.
I move approval of 2025-CO-155, a radio system consultant agreement with Mid-America Regional Council.
Second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Berger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanover?
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Next on the agenda, 2025 CO 156.
Again, Commissioners, Tony Avery, Platte County. 2025 CO 156 is our annual renewal contract for HVAC and generator for the radio towers, as well as the emergency management command vehicle and dart trailer. This is hours worked, cost, time and
Time and materials.
Contract. We've had this in place for about the last 12, 13 years.
I move,
The budgetary impact, I'm sorry, again, the budgetary impact is to be determined based on the time and materials.
I move approval of 2025-CO-156, the generator and HVAC preventative maintenance contract with Absolute Comfort.
I second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Next on the agenda, 2025-CO-157.
Commissioners, Tony Avery again. 2025 CO 157 is an agreement, our annual renewal contract between Platte County and Voice Products. Voice Products is our servicing contract agency for the NICE Inform recorder that is maintained for all radio and telephone traffic on down in the dispatch center. So budgetary impact is $12,476.88, and this has been budgeted in the 2026 budget. The payment is due in, I believe, late January, early February. And this is, again, an annual recurring contract for at least the last 13 years.
I move approval of 2025-CO-157, an annual maintenance contract with Voice Product Inc.
I second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Next is 2025-CO-158.
Tony Avery, Sheriff's Office, again, Commissioners, 2025 CO 158 is an agreement between Platte County and Eaton Corporation for the purposes of maintenance of our UPS unit, Universal Power Supply, that's located in the main dispatch center in the jail. This is a renewal. I believe this is the second or the third year renewal of this contract. And again, it's a time and material cost.
I move approval of 2025-CO-158, annual maintenance contract with Eaton Corp. For the Universal Power Supply maintenance and service.
I second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a good day.
Thank you, Tony. Next on the agenda, 2025-CO-159 to be presented by County Administrator Wes Minder. Morning, Wes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Wes Minder, County Administrator. Before you is a commission order authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the Platte County Senior Services Fund. The Senior Services Fund is a property tax-based organization established by Missouri state law that provides services to our seniors in the county. It is managed by a board appointed by the County Commission. They have 4 employees, and previously they had spent time and effort securing health care and dental benefits for those employees. In discussions with the Senior Fund, there would be a little bit of, there'd be a lot of good collaboration and efficiencies obtained by allowing those employees to be underneath our healthcare umbrella. We've talked to our insurance provider, Midwest Public Risk, and they are agreeable to that. And so the way this memorandum of understanding would work is that the employees at the Senior Fund, should they choose to take benefits, would be under the same plans as us. The Senior Fund would pay for those benefits, send the county a check, and then that way there's no net fiscal impact to the county. The benefits are the employees get a reduced health care cost to the employees, but then also the Senior Fund, because rather than pooling and trying to buy insurance for 3 or 4 people, they become part of our pool, which is somewhere around 200 employees. So it provides some efficiency in the 2 organizations. And that's where we request that the MOU be authorized and approved.
I move approval of 2025-CO-159, a memorandum of understanding between the county and the Platte County Senior Services Fund.
I second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Thank you, Wes. Next on the agenda, 2025-CO-149 to be presented by Director of Planning and Zoning, Daniel Erickson. Good morning, Daniel.
Morning, Commissioners.
Daniel Erickson on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Department. Commission Order 149 is a request to rezone submitted by Greg and Kimberly Knapp. NIP, they are seeking to rezone 40 acres from its current zoning of agricultural to R80 rural single family, with the intent of taking that 40 acres and subdividing that into a 10 and a 30 acre lots. Both of the two lots would be eligible for single family dwellings. This came before the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval to you. This property is generally located off of Bethel Road, about a half mile north of the Shallow Springs Golf Course. Staff recommended approval to the Planning Commission.
I move approval of 2025-CO-149, rezoning from AG to R80 for Greg and Kimberly Knipp.
I second that. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Frygar?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanden.
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Thank you, Daniel. Next on the agenda, 2025 CO154 to be presented by Platte County Prosecuting Attorney Eric Zahn. Morning, Eric.
Good morning. It's good to be with you, Commissioners. This is our annual contract with the state of Missouri to collect delinquent child support. I'm really pleased. So it has zero budget impact. We use this to pay child support workers. It pays partial salary of 2 non-attorney staff members and even a smaller portion of 1 attorney salary. We certainly appreciate the commission for years supplementing those salaries so that we can continue those efforts. I'll tell you something about our child support unit. This year, for the first time, they get audited every single year by the Missouri Division of Child and Social Services, or I'm not getting that name right, but they get audited every single year. We have often had clean audits, but we've never had a clean audit until this year where they didn't even ask a single question of clarification. We've always had things sometimes that we've had to fight over, say, no, we did this correctly. But this one, they didn't even ask any questions after they audited the cases. They came back and said 100%. And so I'm really proud of this unit. Heather Taylor has for years essentially headed up that unit. We've got an attorney assigned to it, but Heather really is the glue that holds that unit together. And so I just couldn't be more proud of what they're doing. And we appreciate the commission's, again, support in accepting this contract from the state of Missouri, but also supplementing those salaries.
Was there some issue about the documents?
We don't have any documents for this one.
What about the 50 pages that are online?
Well, maybe we just received them since I came up here, but my understanding was we don't have any documents on this item.
Okay.
We do have at least a 1-page document, the award for this year that we can provide you.
Okay. I move approval of 2025-CO-154, the 4D County Reimbursement Cooperative Contract.
I second that. Congratulations to your staff and yourself for the clean audits. We
It's
love
mostly the staff.
hearing about that. So thank you.
It's great.
Any further comments? Yeah, I'm sorry.
If I might, because I think next on the agenda is comments from office holders.
Yes. Yeah, well, let us vote and then we can cover your,
Please do.
yeah. Seeing no further comments, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Frygar?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanden.
Yes.
That motion carries 2-0. Next on the agenda, comments from county office holders and staff.
So
First
during-
up, prosecuting attorney Eric.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Commissioner. So the commission accepted during its consent calendar the annual report that my office is obligated by statute to make of misdemeanor and felony case filings. I just want to go into a little bit more depth in that report to explain what those numbers mean and also talk about some specific cases. So the number of felonies we filed 9 fewer felonies this year than last year. 686 felonies this year. So that's essentially holding steady on felonies. In misdemeanors, though, we've filed 33% more this year than last year. Last year, we filed 7,754 misdemeanors. This year, we filed 10,301 misdemeanors. That's not quite a record, but it's close. In 2022, we filed 12,612 misdemeanors. In 2021, 10,354. And again, this year, 10,301. So it's the third most misdemeanors we've ever filed. That mostly has to do, honestly, 7,901 of those were traffic cases, which again is the third most traffic cases. Those 2 years, 2022 and 2021 being the most. The reason for this primarily is the rise in traffic cases, and that has to do with staffing in the sheriff's department. When the sheriff's department is fully staffed, they're able to patrol the streets and highways better. Citizens may not love it, but it makes our roads safer, right? And so that's the reason behind those numbers. What the numbers don't tell you is the sorts of cases, the sorts of felonies we are prosecuting. We have a record number of homicides pending. It's either 15 or 16. I was just reading over the report now, and I don't count very well. I went to law school, so I wouldn't have to do math. But we have 15 or 16 homicides pending right now, murder cases pending. We have a whole bunch more traffic homicides that are not included in these numbers. When I say that's a record by a long, long way. We used to have in this county, some years we'd go with 0 homicides. And 1 or 2, maybe. And now we're having multiple homicides every year. This number has been steadily growing over the past probably 5 years. But if we go back to 2003, when I was a much younger man, had more hair and a lot less gray and no beard, we maybe had 3 murder cases pending at any given time, maybe 4 or 5 at some points. I don't know. I can't really remember. What I can tell you, it wasn't 15 or 16. So what I'd like to do, if the commission is willing, is just go through very quickly and tell you just a little bit public information about each of those cases. That's pending. And these are in the order of the case filed. So the earliest one's from 2021. So we've got cases that honestly are 4 years old that have yet to be resolved.
Why do those show up in this year's numbers?
Well, so right now, they are not in the cases filed report. This is different. So those would have shown up, the 2021 case would have shown up in the 2021 report. Mm-hmm. Right now, I want to switch and tell you about just cases we have pending. Okay. And we have cases from 2 cases from 2021 that are still pending. One of those is understandable. It's because the defendant for a while was found to be incompetent to stand trial. When you're incompetent to stand trial, the case grinds to a halt. You can't do anything. The other case, though, that's not true. And we have cases pending a long time in this county. And that's because, quite frankly, we have too many cases with too few judges. We added another circuit judge in this county. We frankly need another circuit judge. I don't think we're going to get one anytime soon, but this county remains very, very busy. Docket space. We now have trials set into 2025, 5 deep on any given Monday. So that is challenging for this court. We are still digging out from COVID. We've gotten rid of cases that are pre-COVID cases, but that set all the other cases behind as you're trying to get rid of those cases. So we really are still working through the COVID backlog. We also have a tendency in this county, and Commissioner Vanover can attest to this because this has been true for a long time. I'm so proud of so many things that Platte County does. I want to be careful that I don't get sanctioned for this. One thing we don't do well in this county is move cases quickly. Defense attorneys, when they want a continuance, I can think of 3 times over 23 years that a defense request for a continuance of trial has not been granted by the court. In this county, if a defense attorney wants a continuance, they're going to get it. Commissioner Vanover, would you attest to that in your 15 years in our office?
I think so.
Yeah. And so that's not great. Other counties do it differently. The federal government does it differently. But we have developed a culture in Platte County that I do not support, where defense attorneys just get continuances. Justice delayed is justice denied in so many instances in my mind, particularly in homicide cases where you've got a family who has lost a loved one. Those families, I don't use the word closure because you'll never have closure if your loved one has been murdered, but they deserve justice, and they deserve justice quickly.
And this has an impact on the county jail population
Oh,
as well.
absolutely does, because it's not just murder cases that are taking a long time. Everything is taking a long time. So if you look at that jail study that now is 3 or 4 years old, you will see a switch in, I think, 2019. So pre-COVID, all of a sudden, and we weren't great at this before, but all of a sudden, our average length of stay began to go like this. It's now twice as long as it was in 2019. So that's bad. That impacts our jail population in a huge way. I'll tell you, there are 3 things that we could do in this county to decrease that jail stay. First off is not to grant every request for continuance that defense counsel makes. Second is to impanel a grand jury to hear all sorts of cases. Right now, we don't even have a sitting grand jury in this county. Other counties our size almost always do. And even when we have had a grand jury in this county, I've had an agreement with our presiding judge to only present certain cases, basically A and B felonies, the most serious classes of felonies, and cases involving child victims. If we presented all of the cases to the grand jury, and I didn't come prepared with these statistics, but I can give them to you, we would decrease right now on average, and I'm going to get this wrong, so please don't quote me on these numbers. I have the actual numbers. I should have brought them. I didn't come prepared for this. But I think on average, cases are spending, I know it's over 180 days in our associate circuit court. If we had a grand jury that met twice a month, we could cut that time that cases are pending in associate circuit court to probably 30 days. And then at the circuit level, Buchanan County, just to our north, essentially has an unwritten rule that defense counsel gets 2 continuances after the defendant is arraigned. The defendant's arraigned, then you can ask for a continuance, you can ask for another continuance, and then if you ask for a 3rd continuance, you're not going to get it. The case is set for trial. That works. And they resolve cases much more quickly than we do. That's just never been the culture in Platte County. I love so many things about Platte County legal culture. Our county is a safe county. We're safer than Buchanan County. But that is not a good facet of the Platte County legal culture. That is detrimental to our jail population. It's detrimental to the cause of justice. Cases for prosecutors do not get better with time. They are not fine wines. They are beers that get skunky. And the longer cases linger, the more witnesses forget, the more witnesses die, the more witnesses become uncooperative, particularly, for example, in domestic violence cases. If you can't resolve a domestic violence case quickly, it's inevitable that the victim is going to reconcile in the vast majority of cases with, I say her attacker because usually it's a female, sometimes it's a male, with her attacker. It's human nature, right? These people have loved one another at some point. It's very hard to be a witness against, for example, your spouse or your boyfriend. That takes a lot of guts. And when we tell them, "Hey, yeah, you got to wait 4 years to do this," they either lose interest, and these people are often domestic abusers because they are good at controlling their spouses. And they begin to, sometimes in ways that are illegal, and we charge these crimes, in other times in ways that are just sort of in a gray area, they begin to tamper with the witnesses. And so this is a problem that we have in Platte County. But now let me just tell you the 15 murder cases we've got pending right now. First one's filed in 2021. I won't give you the dates on all of them, and I'm not going to give you much of a description because I don't want to, you don't want to be here all day, and I don't either. But let me just give you just short descriptions. All of these were reported in the news, and if you've got questions, I can give you a little bit more detail about each of these. I can only talk about things that are public record in these cases. But Anthony Fleming was using meth. He was high. He burned down his house with his grandfather inside. He's charged with murder and arson. Daniel Colati walked up to a friend of his and a boss of his at the Quick Trip in Riverside, shot him in the back of the head on camera. Michaela Archambault just pled guilty just was sentenced on Thursday. So that case is now resolved. Her victim was Taylor Hawkins. However, we've just now charged a co-defendant in that case, Cordero Cervantes, and there was a love triangle, and Michaela Archambault and Taylor Hawkins, we allege, killed Taylor Hawkins. I should caution you, all of these cases are pending. The allegations we've made are just that, they're allegations, and the defendants are all presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. But I'm going to give you what are our allegations in these cases. Philip Frazier was in a Northmore parking lot, walked up to his victim, had, we don't think, any previous altercation, but got angry at this victim, pulled out a gun. First time his holster came out with it. The victim appears to have laughed, and witnesses said, "What are you going to do, shoot me?" And he did. Shot him in the head and killed him. Zachary Young is actually a Clay County case where I was appointed special prosecutor because the mother's victim, or the victim's mother, rather, in that case is a court clerk in Clay County. And so there are no Clay County judges, nor is the Clay County prosecuting attorney on that case. This guy intentionally ran down a victim who he did not know on the side of the road. She had car trouble. He saw her, intentionally pointed his car at her and hit and killed her. Terrion Gully Henry killed one victim, seriously wounded another in a shooting here at the Wendy's parking lot in Platte City. Akedra King was drunk, hit her aunt on the back of the head with a blunt object, killing the aunt. Denise Garcia gave a victim drugs, fentanyl, taught her victim how to use fentanyl. We have text messages that show the indications of her telling her how to shoot up fentanyl. That victim died. We charged her with involuntary manslaughter in that case. Kyle Mendez was a wrong way driver, hit a van full of people. He then fled and hid in a cornfield before he was arrested. He's also been charged with involuntary manslaughter. I'm giving you just a couple of the involuntary manslaughters that are more significant than somebody just having a wreck. Takeeza Johnson at the Walmart here in Platte County appears to have had no real altercation with another driver. It may have been he was walking across a crosswalk. The driver went ahead of him. As the driver goes by, Mr. Johnson hits the rear of his vehicle. Then Takeeza Johnson gets in his own vehicle and drives around the parking lot. As our victim is getting out to go into the Walmart, shoots him in the head. Takeeza Johnson, the former fired Kansas City police officer, had been fired long before this shooting. Armando Navarro, this is eligible for the death penalty. I'm considering the death penalty in this case. Killed his wife, his wife's mother, their daughter, and tried to kill another daughter. The surviving daughter is 21 years old. She's going to live the rest of her life with seeing her mother, her grandmother, and her sister's heads literally blown off. Sister saved her life, told her to flee. Our victim wound up with a shotgun pellet in her shoulder and lost hair as other pellets cut off her hair. Very nearly blew her head off. Fortunately, she escaped. I've met with her on multiple occasions. You can imagine the pain that she is going through. You can only imagine it because none of us in this room have ever experienced that sort of pain. She had moved, the whole family had moved to Kansas City with this guy. This guy lived in the house with them. Our victim says she thought her life was finally going to be good, that she loved Kansas City. She was going to school here in Kansas City. And then everything she knew was ripped away from her. So we're considering the death penalty against that defendant. If we do that, that will be a drawn out and expensive case to try. I've never actually tried a death penalty case in this county. We have brought death penalty charges. That's always a decision you have to make with the family involved. We're having conversations with this family about it. One of the coolest things I think you could do is subject a family to a death penalty trial that they don't want, because it's going to take a long time. You're probably going to have to try the case more than once. That's just the nature of death penalty cases, and the very high scrutiny that properly so the Missouri Supreme Court puts on those cases. So I tell victims' families, you got to be ready for probably a 10-year wait to even have a final conviction, and then you've got to wait for almost endless appeals. It's a hard process, particularly for a 21-year-old girl, to think I could well be in my mid-30s, maybe even 40s, until if the death penalty is awarded in this case before it's carried out. That's a lot to ask of a young woman. So we'll see what happens in that case. Ivory Carson and Jordan Willis. This case has garnered international attention, even though every homicide is a serious thing. But we allege, dealt drugs to 3 fans after a Chiefs game. They were all friends. Well, one of them is a drug dealer who knew at least some of the victims. The other is a close friend of theirs, gave them cocaine and fentanyl. These 3 Chiefs fans died outside in freezing temperatures. That case has captured the public's attention just because of sort of the kind of different facts in that case. Ray Wheeler is another Clay County case where a victim was shot after an altercation. There's an altercation between the victim and the defendant, and so that's that case. And then I've already mentioned, then finally, the most recent case that we filed, Cordero Cervantes, who killed Taylor Hawkins with Michaela Archambault. That's a lot. That's a lot. We are busy. Those murder cases, two sorts of cases get tried in any prosecutor's office: serious ones and difficult ones. Some of these are both. Some of these, the burden proof, of course, for a prosecutor is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the highest burden we have. And some of these are difficult cases. They were difficult decisions for me to make as to whether we're going to file these cases. And so they'll be difficult for jurors. Others, the evidence is pretty darn clear, but they're likely to get tried anyway because the penalty is so severe. Some of these are first-degree murder cases, and in those cases, the only 2 possible sentences are life in prison without the possibility of parole, or the death penalty if there are aggravating circumstances present. So those cases almost always get tried. If it's death penalty eligible, and I agree to allow a defendant to plead guilty to life in prison without parole, that's the only way a first-degree murder case doesn't get tried. Otherwise, it's going to get tried because the defendant has nothing to lose. Even if the evidence is overwhelming, might as well take my shot. A lot of other murder defendants, even with second-degree murder, where the maximum sentence is life in prison, the minimum sentence is 10 years in prison, they'll take their shot to see what they can do with the jury because, frankly, we're not making favorable plea offers in those cases. You've heard me behind this podium talking with great pride about our diversion program. For first-time nonviolent offenders, I'm as proud of that program as I am at what we do to murderers. And in Platte County, if you hurt somebody badly, particularly if you kill somebody, I'm going to try to send you to prison for a long, long time. And I'm proud of that. And that means we try a lot of these cases.
Yeah.
And so we're busy in our office. I've got, though, Joe will may laugh at this because he heard me say it. The staff makes fun of me because I always say, we've got the best staff we've ever had. And there have been years where I actually haven't said that. Nobody remembers the years that I don't say that. They only remember the years that I say it. And I have said it a lot because, frankly, we keep getting better and better and better because of this great county. Look, I'm the world's greatest boss. I have a coffee mug to prove it. But it's really not about me. It's because of this county. And frankly, a lot of it is because of the resources this county commission has put into law enforcement. People move to this county because they know it's safe. People stay in this county because it is safe. And we're able to do things that other counties can't do because of all of these things. Once you create a culture of safety, it builds on itself. That's why we were getting all this great growth in this county, some of which is somewhat controversial. But the reason businesses want to move to Platte County is they know it's safe. That's why our jail issue is such a huge issue. Because if you get behind, and we are today, nobody from the sheriff's office is with us today, but I know we're housing, as of Friday, 70 people in other counties. And that's not going to change, folks. That is not going to change. And that's not because people aren't doing their jobs. It's because people are doing their jobs. That's because law enforcement's doing their job, putting people, arresting people. We're doing our job charging them, and courts are doing their job keeping them behind bars even before trial, because they are either dangerous people who we do not want on our streets, or they'll never show up for court. Either way, either of those things is terrible. And I'm telling you, I said it during the jail vote. I know this is not popular with the voters. I actually think the voters still just didn't understand our problem. And I've talked with the sheriff. I don't want to steal his thunder, but the sheriff is seriously contemplating opening the jail up for public tours. So we can get
opening up to what?
public tours, so that we can get as many members of the public. Because in his most recent Citizens Academy, he'll have to tell you the exact numbers. I forget them. He told me them on Friday night at the sheriff's annual awards banquet, which was really a terrific event where we recognized men and women who put their lives on the line every single day for us. But in his most recent Citizens Academy that he runs once or twice a year, I'm not sure of the frequency, all but I think one or two of the people at the beginning of the class said they voted against the jail expansion. As part of the Citizens Academy, one night they did a tour of the jail. Every single person said, had I known this, I would have voted yes. So that's on us. We're not doing a good enough job showing the public what a problem this is. And so sheriff's going to try to rectify this. We're not going to be able to get 115,000 people through our jail to view it. But anybody who wants to come look at it, I think he's going to say, come look. And I am again stating the message, because we've seen it happen in Jackson County. We saw it happen in Boone County, Columbia, Missouri. We saw it happen in Greene County, Springfield, Missouri. Those counties, Jackson County, still out of jail space. Jackson County's out of space. Jasper County just built a new jail, or rather, Greene County just built a new jail. Jasper County built a new jail as well. Greene County built a new jail. Boone County built a new jail. Springfield still shows up today as one of the 10 most dangerous cities in the nation. Springfield, Missouri. We've all been to Springfield. Who would think that Springfield, Missouri was one of the most dangerous places? Well, it's because they ran out of jail space. And don't think that can't happen to Platte County. It can. Because when you run out of jail space and you don't have the people who have to be behind bars, believe you me, the criminal community learns it. Just like they've learned not to come to Platte County to commit crimes, they can unlearn that really darn quickly. That Platte County is a place I can come because they don't have jail space. And we're at that point right now. We are turning people out of jail who we should not be turning out, not very many, because we're housing 70 of them outside. But I don't know whether to say this or not, but I'm going to say it publicly. We are releasing people in Platte County who I do not think should be on our streets because we don't have enough jail space. We're keeping a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I don't want, if you're a criminal and you're thinking about coming to Platte County, don't. Particularly if you're thinking about committing a violent or serious crime. Don't. So I want everybody to understand that. but I got to be honest. There are people who should not be on our streets, that would not have been on our streets 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, who are on our streets today because we don't have a big enough jail.
I want to ask you a question that relates to the crime stats that you reported and support for a jail expansion.
Yep.
There are those that argue we don't need a jail expansion because of the crime stats that you report. They use that as part of their messaging. Could you explain how many, so we have lots of misdemeanors. How many of those people, how many of those are violent or,
Yeah.
when you hear misdemeanor, you think, well, that's no big deal, traffic ticket. Could you explain where more on the violent end of or the people that need to be in jail?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And anybody who would read these statistics and say, look, felonies are again down. There are 9 fewer felonies. You don't understand, A, the nature of those felonies. So we have, when I first started saving these statistics, I somehow have lost the ones prior to 2008. I'm sure we could go find them even if we were just looking at newspapers. But in 2008, we had 416 felonies and 3,307 misdemeanors. That misdemeanor number is a little bit misleading because until 2020, I did not count traffic misdemeanors. I changed the way I counted because the report technically says all misdemeanors. And I realized in 2020 that I'd done this report wrong. Fortunately, there's no penalty to doing the report wrong. So I'm not going to go back and correct the old years. But since 2020, I've been doing it right. But the felony number's always been accurate. 416 felonies. This year, 686 felonies. I went to law school, so I didn't have to do math, so I don't know what percentage that is, but it's big. But what the numbers don't reflect are the types of felonies. And the types of felonies that we're getting now are a lot worse. This commission has heard me say this statistic before. In my first 15 years as Platte County prosecutor, we had 0, as in none, not a single drug deal involved shooting. In my last, I don't know what we're up to now, but in my last 10 years or 8 years as prosecutor, we're into more than 24 drug deal involved shootings. I've talked about one here, the Wendy's shooting was a drug deal. And there somebody died, another person seriously injured, but they were there, buying drugs. Doesn't make the murder correct, right? You can't murder somebody you're buying or selling drugs from. But we didn't have any of those in this county. Now we've got a ton. Now, less people being misled by that. That's happening all across the nation. I talk to friends of mine. I'm fortunate enough now to have friends all over the nation who are prosecutors. You just do this job long enough, get gray enough, lose enough hair, you get to know people. And so I know a lot of people, and I talk a lot to people in counties that are very much like Platte County. Rockwell County, Texas is one example. It's a suburban county, a lot larger than Platte County, but it's exactly like Platte County. It's outside Dallas, Texas. It's the wealthiest county in the Dallas metro area. And Kenda Culpepper is the DA there. And Kenda and I talk a lot because we have just very similar situations. Kenda says the same thing I say, which is years ago, they didn't have any drug deal shootings. They didn't really have any drug deals. We didn't have drug deals in Platte County. People went to the urban core to buy drugs. That's not true anymore. Part of that is social media and apps like WhatsApp that are completely encrypted, and so you feel a little more safe. Doing drug deal, you shouldn't. I will tell you, we can get to those WhatsApp things. So don't feel like you're safe doing that. But people feel that way, and so now drug dealers are willing to come to Platte County to deal their drugs. and inevitably shootings happen. So you got to understand that the nature of the felonies we are experiencing is worse than the nature of the felonies that we experienced in 2008. Combine that with the fact that we are having trouble getting cases disposed of in court for the reasons I've already mentioned. We have a lot more felons in prison. And to your point, Commissioner Fricker, the misdemeanors, we got a lot of traffic misdemeanors, right? Those people are not sitting in jail. They might during the World Cup because we're not going to have a choice. That's the other thing that's coming. We got to be prepared for this year. World Cup is going to bring, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of fans to Kansas City. This city is going to be overwhelmed, and not because it hasn't prepared well, but because I've never been to a FIFA World Cup. I have been fortunate enough to go to other countries just this year to Canada for a Formula One Grand Prix. I'm a big Formula One fan, and my whole family is, and so we took a vacation to Canada this year. Montreal, which is a bigger city than Kansas City, was not prepared even for the Formula One Grand Prix, and they've done it for, I don't know, 20 years, maybe more, because your infrastructure cannot handle that many people coming. It doesn't matter. Maybe New York can, maybe LA can, but even a Montreal can't handle that influx of people. The influx for a Formula One weekend is nothing compared to what the influx is going to be for the World Cup. So when we have the World Cup here, every single fan who flies in for the World Cup, guess where they're going to fly into? Our airport in our county. Some of those people, as good as they are, and some soccer fans, football fans, are not upstanding and fine people. There are hooligans, they call them in England. The English fans are notoriously hooligan-esque. I don't know whether that's a word. It is now. And I don't know, but if I were predicting, I think there's a chance England's going to be in the group that plays in Kansas City. I'm not releasing any confidential information. I don't know. That's my pure speculation. But if I'm right and England comes to Kansas City, first off, a lot of English fans are going to come because they're like, I can speak the language, right? And so we're going to have English fans traveling in a way that if their group was in Mexico, they might not. There are sites in Mexico, the United States, and Canada. In two of those three countries, they can speak the language. I think English fans are going to travel in ways that they have not for previous World Cups because the bar for traveling is much lower, right? It's easy to come to the United States where you can speak the language, although sometimes hard for me to understand speaking English. I think we speak it better here, particularly in the Midwest where we have no accent. So we're going to have an influx of fans and again, our jail is not prepared for this because we have to do two things with even the speeders. These people who rent a car and speeding, we got to tell them two things. Either you can go to jail or we're going to have to develop a system. If you got your credit card, you can pay it right now and be on your way. You have the right to a trial. We're not avoiding your trial right. But if you want your right to a trial, you're going to have to go sit in jail until we can give you your trial. I think most fans are going to say, here's my credit card. Let me pay my fine and be on my way, right? But there's going to be a lot of that because every one of these fans is going to come through here, and they're all going to rent cars, and some of them are not going to obey our speed limit. Some of them, I'm even more worried, are going to drive on the wrong side of the road. And that really kind of scares me, what could happen on our interstates, sort of through, it still would be their fault, but believe you me, I've driven in England, and it's hard. When you've been driving on the left side of the road your entire life, to figure out how to drive on the right side of the road, the only worst thing is, I spent a year in college over there is doing it on a bicycle, because a car, at least you got some sheet metal around you. On a bicycle, you mess that up and start into oncoming traffic, you got a problem. And I had that problem a couple of times, and my bike ended up in the ditch with me, sometimes on it and sometimes not. So those are hard habits to unlearn. So I worry about that too. but we're going to have a lot of people here then. But now, so I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry. Our misdemeanor defendants, as Commissioner Fricker, you point out, some of them are people who, yeah, their latest crime is a misdemeanor. That's the only thing we can charge them with. But they're sometimes murderers. Our domestic violence cases, the vast majority of domestic violence cases we file are misdemeanors. Believe you me, if you're a person who commits domestic violence against your spouse, you're dangerous in a way that other people aren't. Now, you might not be dangerous to anybody else in the world. Most domestic abusers would never hurt somebody else, but they'll hurt their spouse really bad. And they might not do it the first time, but domestic violence, until it's intervened against, escalates. And so we've got a lot of domestic violence defendants in our jail. They're misdemeanors. But you let those people out, they're going to hurt their spouses worse, particularly if you let them out right after they've been arrested because they're torqued off. And so there are instances where, not, thank goodness, in Platte County, but in other counties all across the nation, where a misdemeanor domestic violence defendant has gotten out of jail and immediately gone home and killed his wife. We don't want that to happen. We've got to long enough for this to really out. Where they're not going to walk out of jail and kill their wife. Well, we're getting darn close. We're running out of jails. We're already out of jail space in Platte County. We're running out of jails in the state of Missouri to put these people, right? And so if that happens, and we're on the path to it happening, I predict it's going to happen at least for a short time during the World Cup. Eventually your jail gets so full, you got to let people out who shouldn't be out on the streets. And some of those are misdemeanor defendants. So anybody who would read these statistics and say, oh, look, felonies are down and misdemeanors, it's not even a record year for misdemeanors. When in 2021 and 2022, I'd submit we need a new jail then. But in 2021 and 2022, look, those were the record years. Misdemeanors are down from the record years. You're stupid. Okay? Anybody who says that, stupid. I shouldn't say stupid. They might not be dumb. They're ignorant. They're ignorant of the real facts and reality. So I'm happy to sit down with anybody who wants to talk about our jail population. I will issue this on the record. You're welcome to call my office, 816-858-3476. You're welcome to email me, ezahnd, that's EZAHND, at co.platte.mo.us. I'm happy to talk with you via email. I'm happy to talk with you on the phone. I'm happy to invite you to my office to sit down, and I'll talk to you for as long as you want. And I'll go give you a tour of the Platte County Jail. And I guarantee you, if you are a sensible person at all, once you've heard the true facts, once you've seen the condition of our jail, once you know how many people we're turning away and who those people are, you'll walk away convinced, just as everybody on the Sheriff's Citizens Academy, only one of them initially thinking we need a new jail. All of them, once they learn the true facts, thinking we need a new jail. We've got to do a better job of doing that, of explaining this to the public, and I'm happy to do it to anybody who asks.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry to take so long.
No, I'm gonna pass that invitation along to some folks.
You're welcome to pass it to anybody.
Yeah.
I really am happy to do it because it is, I will announce today, I'm going to run for re-election. No big surprise. I love this job. It is a great honor and privilege to do this job. I don't want to do this job for however many years I've got left. I may be Robert Morgenthau of Platte County. He was the prosecutor in Manhattan from sometime in like the 1940s until he was like 95 years old. I'm probably not staying until I'm 95, so don't count on that. But I might, because I love this job so much. This job is getting harder. And the reason it's getting harder is not because I'm worse at doing the job. I think, frankly, I'm better than doing the job. I think I got the best staff I've ever had. But it's getting harder because of the dangerousness and, frankly, the fact that we're out of jail space. And I don't want my last years, this might be my last year if the voters don't reelect me, but I don't want however long I've got in this job to be years where crime unnecessarily increases. And frankly, we're headed to that. If we don't fix the jail problem and fix it fast, we're headed to that. So again, I've taken far too much of your time. I appreciate the time to explain these things. Again, if you're watching online and you want to come talk about it one-on-one, I'll do it. If I have to do it, I don't know how I do it. If I have to do it 110,000 times in this county, I'll figure out a way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report and your comments and for running for reelection. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see whether the voters have me.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Any further comments from office holders and staff? County Auditor Kevin Robinson.
Commissioners, just very briefly, I won't promise I won't take quite as much time as Mr. Zahn did, but I'm not a lawyer.
Well, the material can't be as interesting as that.
I just did want to highlight on your consent calendar, D3 is the auditor's recommended budget that was released Friday afternoon. It is available online on the county website on the auditor's landing page, or be glad to email it to anybody if they send us a request. I didn't want to make sure that that was brought to attention of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any public comments? Any comments from the commission?
Not today.
I would just want to point out that Commissioner Vanover hung this flag. It's something we got from Senator Tony Lukemeyer. Show me state of show me America 2050. So anyway, that's what this flag is, in case you were wondering. Okay.
Move to adjourn?
Second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Berger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanover?
Yes.
The motion carries 2-0. It is 11:04 and we are adjourned. And we will immediately